Well, my dear INFJ entrepreneurs, I liberated the arms and I decided to put the mic on my dress. And I know it's not the most sexiest way to be, but hey, at least I have both my arms so I can be like this during the entire video. Welcome back to this video, and this one is going to be an interesting one. If you are the type of entrepreneur who is thinking, oh well, I see all these experts and I'm nothing like them, so I cannot show up at all. I cannot show up online. I need to get ready. I can't do this until I'm this perfectly amazing, polished person. If that's who you are, first watch the first video. This is the second part of that. But we're going to move the conversation forward, and we're going to talk about something interesting that I have observed that I think can help you as well. So I have my favorite speaker, and there are many things I love about him. He talks about psychology and humanity, and every time I listen to him, frankly, I'm moved to tears and laughing, sometimes both at the same time. So what happened is that now I get to a relationship with my speaker. I don't know if it's like a fangirling relationship. We are best friends, he just doesn't know it yet. I got into a relationship with this speaker that I look up where he is speaking, and I don't care what the topic is. I'm like, if he's nearby me in my town or nearby I can travel to, I'm going. Because he usually is sold out all the time. And also, I don't care what the topic is. I like the guy. I know I'm going to learn something. I know I'm going to laugh and maybe sometimes even cry. Like, I know this is going to shift my perspective to a way that is going to be very meaningful and impactful to me. Now, I remember going to this psychology seminar, and now aren't we INFJs love psychology? I think most of us are like, yes, humans, please. I want to study them from a distance. So I went to this psychology seminar, and in this seminar, there were a speaker lineup, and he was the one closing the day at 7 p.m. But I got there earlier because my ticket was for the entire evening, right? So I think from 5 p.m. till like 7, there were multiple speakers. So as I was waiting for my favorite speaker to come, and frankly, I think most people came for him, but whatever, I saw this lady, and she had blue hair, and that's what I retained from her. And I remember she was on stage talking about children and use of social media and whatnot. And I remember watching her and thinking to myself, wow, she's so boring. I think if I was on that stage, I could do a better job. That's what I thought. I thought, wow, you could tell like the audience is falling asleep. People are kind of nodding off. They're like, oh, the energy is low. I mean, INFJs pick up on energy. The energy is like snooze fast. And I thought to myself, I think I can do this better. I could be doing this better. Not as good as my favorite speaker, but definitely I could do a better job. And how many times, first of all, how many of you, if you made it to my masterclass this Sunday, be honest, if you watched me, how many of you actually thought to yourself, I think I can do this, and not only that, I think I can do this better. And if you haven't been at that masterclass, there were many moments in it which I was kind of butchering things because I couldn't find the unmute button. I was trying to move my head so I don't cover my slides. Like, technology was technology. But what I was trying to say is, how many of you, and how many times, if you have, maybe you have had personal experience, like how many times you thought of yourself, I think I could do a better job than that. And you might be thinking, well, that's envy. Like, oh yeah, you think you're so good, like get out there and actually do it. But to me, that's not what I thought it was. That's not how I interpreted this. The way I was interpreting this is, if she can do it, I can do it. And it's not because she had blue hair and she was very boring, but she looked quite human to me. And not just quite human to me, she looked quite ordinary human to me, right? And I think many times we have this idea, and we talked about it in our first video, that the expertise should look something so elevated that the people would want to buy into that. But oftentimes it's humans teaching humans human stuff. And as I was watching her thinking, she's quite normal, she's quite ordinary, I think I can do that. Then suddenly what happened is, can I do that? I think I can. That's where I got into. And if, can I do that? I think I can. Then what happens is, the world is your oyster. Because you now give yourself permission to be like, if she can do it, I can do it. If that ordinary human can have a room full of people and putting them to sleep, I think I can not only that I can do that, but I can do it better. I can do a better job. And of course, when you get to her shoes and you are like standing in front of all those people, maybe you'll suck too, or maybe you will be boring too, but it doesn't matter, because the more you do something, the more you get exposed to something, the better you get at the thing. And oftentimes that's the thing with INFJs, we expect to be good at something without touching the thing, without doing the thing, without letting that reality tested. That's why I said in the INFJ Entrepreneurs Masterclass is that your success is in direct correlation of your relationship with reality. And the reason why I said that is when you expect yourself to be good at something without being in the thing and seeing where you need to tweak, what's not landing, is it helpful at all? Is it helpful for the humans? Like, how do I tweak and move and talk about it differently? It has to actually touch reality. If you want to write a book and you've written books and people read them and they say, oh my God, I love this about the book, this part, not so much. Then you have feedback. Okay, what is it that people love? Or what are the stories that they get invested? At least you've been touching reality. You see what comes back. You have that feedback loop coming. But if you are thinking to yourself, I'm going to think my way. I'm going to think my way into this thing until one day I wake up and I'm ready. That's not how it is. So when I was watching this lady and I thought to myself, if she can do it, I can do it. Not because I was jealous, but because like, oh no, I know I can. I think I can. Let me try if I can. Then you get into this energy of, okay, let's try. Because trying, and that we are entering into TE, executive function, which we don't even have in our first four, and we are like summoning from the bottom, TE, come. We need to execute in reality. Then we are strengthening that part of us that is like actively deciding and acting, actively deciding and acting. And I'll tell you this bit as well, because I think it's so important. I was teaching it inside of my program called Empathy as We Know It. But in the program, I was teaching about building capacity. How do we build capacity? And one of the things that I taught inside of the program is there are 4 steps for you to actually, from learning and experiencing to integrating and deciding, and that to be like a decision loop, or like a loop of learning and evolution. First one is you have to experience. Second is you need to think about what that experience was and contemplate. We are amazing at doing that, by the way. Third, you need to actually decide what you're going to do with what you just learned. And fourth, you need to actually act. And so you act, and then you come back to the beginning, experience, think about what happened, reflect, take the lessons, good and bad. 4, decide what you're going to be the next step, and then act again. and then again, and then again. And that's the loop of learning anything in life, really. But you see how this involves not just thinking, but experiencing and deciding and acting. Like deciding and acting, especially on the acting on the thing. Because when you have more experience and you're acting a lot on the things, then it's much easier to the loop to actually complete. And many times people get stuck in the process. Like I know leaders who are really amazing at acting. They're always making decisions and acting, but they don't think to take the lessons away. I know INFJs like us who are amazing at thinking, but then the whole loop gets interrupted because we never actually act on the thing. We might decide, from tomorrow I'm gonna do this, and then no, you won't. You don't act on it, right? So there are people and various ways of this whole chain of learning that we interrupt the process. And when we are looking at those examples, and that really was helpful for me to be like, can I do that? Can you do that? You can, and therefore, what you're gonna do about it, okay? So I hope this was helpful. We have one more over this series, so stay tuned for that. If you're not already a member of our INFJ Entrepreneurs community, link in the description of this episode or video. We'd love to see you in our virtual hangouts. It's free. And courage over fear, progress over perfection. Like always. Bye, guys.